Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about vernal pools and amphibians as they make their way to them in the spring. So what is a vernal pool? For those of you who don't know, it's a temporary body of water. It's generally fishless, and that allows the amphibians to lay their eggs when those pools fill up with water in the spring or late winter. And a lot of times the pools will dry up before the end of the year, late summer, so that fish can't establish in there and become a major threat to the eggs and larvae. Now, I have also found some woodland ponds are naturally pretty fishless, and amphibians will breed in those just fine also. So one of the questions you might have is, what do the amphibian eggs look like? How do you know if you're seeing something in the water if it is an amphibian egg or not? Well, that depends on the species. Some species like toads, which breed often a little bit later in the year, lay their eggs a little more singly. But a lot of the forest breeding species that we see in early spring, the wood frogs and a lot of the frogs and the spotted salamanders and things, their eggs are kind of a gelatinous mass, like you'll see here. And this is common of a lot of species, but certainly not all. So if you're seeing something like that, you may be looking at some amphibian eggs, and later on in the development cycle, you'll actually be able to see tadpoles or very small salamanders forming inside of those eggs. Now, if you live in most parts of the eastern part of the United States, you can go out on any rainy night in early spring. I usually go out as soon as possible. The first rainy nights where it's warm enough for them to be out during the year. 50 degrees is plenty warm. They actually don't like it very warm. This one is from February in Missouri. This is a spotted salamander. I think it's one of the more attractive species of spring that you'll see, and these are very widespread and very common throughout, at least the eastern half of the United States. At the same time you're finding spotted salamanders in those early rainy nights, you'll also be finding wood frogs that are coming out to cross the roads and breed often in the same ponds that the spotted salamanders are using. Here's a pair of wood frogs breeding in a woodland pond. Now, this pond, as I mentioned earlier, not all of them are temporary. This pond stays year-round, but it's far away from any other water sources, and there's no fish in there, at least at this time. If you look closely, you may be able to see some spotted salamanders in this pond where they were breeding. This is actually the same pond I just showed you the picture of the wood frog from. Understandably, not everybody wants to get out on rainy nights and look for the salamanders then, so that's okay. You can still find them during daylight hours. Try looking under logs, especially in or maybe that are half in the breeding ponds or ponds they may be breeding in would be a good place. But I've also just found them in logs and swampy type areas in general too. They'll show up, but around the ponds where they might be breeding in is a good place to check. Other amphibians you can find in a similar manner by looking under logs in moist areas include the smallmouth salamander. I tend to find this one in near flooded areas. They seem to be able to breed pretty well in like the backwaters of rivers and things like that. And found quite a few in sort of low-lying river backwater type areas. Not actually near the main body of water, but just sort of off, in the backwaters and kind of areas that periodically flood. Another species you may be able to find in the eastern part of America, particularly in the more northerly parts, is the Jefferson or blue-spotted salamander complexes. You can refer to your local guides to figure out which one is in your area, or if they're considered an intergrade or one or the other. But I found quite a few of these. They can occur in a variety of different places. Sometimes I found them in surprising places, including one that was just out for a walkabout during the middle of the day in late summer. So you never know, but I usually find them hiding under cover. I found them in Connecticut. I found them in Maine. I think they occur in a lot of different states. In the Northeast, they seem to be pretty common here, at least.